Welcome back, my beautiful friends. You're listening to A Moment of Zen right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York. I am your host, Zen Sams. Now, up next, we have My Healthy Minutes brought to you by Aikido Pharma. Aikido is an early stage drug development company dedicated to finding new solutions for life threatening diseases. They publicly trade on the NASDAQ under ticker symbol AIKI. Now, looking ahead to a new year of advances in treating and diagnosing many types of cancers, the specter of the COVID-19 pandemic still looms very large, with an anticipated increase in late-stage diagnosis because of delayed screenings. Therefore, early detection is so important. In general, earlier the disease is diagnosed, the better your chances may be for remission or long-term survival. It's important to not ignore warning signs your body may be giving you. Learn about the signs and symptoms of cancer, both those that are common and those that are uncommon. Know your cancer risks and take action. There are many causes of cancer, but overall, it's thought that most cancers are multifactorial, meaning that many factors work together to either increase or decrease the risk of the disease. Cancer can be the result of genetic mutations, viruses, or environmental carcinogens. Today, we are chatting and featuring Ethan Zohn, a former professional soccer player and winner of CBS's Survivor Africa. Winning Survivor Africa and co-founding Grassroots Soccer is definitely one of his highlights. Grassroots Soccer is a first of its kind NGO that uses the sport of soccer to teach at-risk youth self-reliance and critical life skills. But that much compassion towards humanity comes from humble beginnings. And yes, especially from personal hardship. The more pain one has felt in their lifetime, if channeled properly, can lead to great levels of empathy towards others. Ethan is a real life survivor. In 2019, he went from a fit and active 35-year-old athlete to becoming the unlikely face of cancer. Diagnosed not once, but twice with CD20 positive Hodgkin's lymphoma in the span of several years. Ethan endured years of aggressive treatment, including 14 different forms of chemo, 22 blasts of radiation, and an autologous stem cell transplant. 20 months later, the cancer returned. Almost out of options, Ethan was the recipient of an experimental new drug that got the cancer into remission, again allowing him to receive an allogeneic stem cell transplant using his older brother Lee as a stem cell donor. Now, Ethan has been in almost remission for 10 years, and today he's going to give us his tips and secrets on how he survived this aggressive cancer. Welcome to the show, superstar.
Well, thank you for having me. I pretty much have nothing left to say after that wonderful introduction. So thank you.
Oh, without a doubt, it's an honor to chat with you. Having you back on seems like I've gotten the best of you in the last couple of weeks. And a big thanks to Aikido Pharma for this feature and segment. Now, Ethan, tell us about the moment you found out when you had cancer and what the odds that you were facing were.
Yeah, so my cancer diagnosis came after about 4 months of wondering what was going on inside my body. So I was a 35-year-old guy, happy, healthy. I was training for the New York City Marathon, and I had some really itchy skin, and I didn't really know what was going on. So I tried every pill, cream, potion, lotion known to man, and it wasn't until a swollen lymph node popped out of my neck, and they found a 6 centimeter by 12 centimeter mass in my chest. And then I was diagnosed with a rare form of blood cancer called CD20 positive Hodgkin's lymphoma. Trust me, I never heard of it either at the time. And so after that, like you said, I had to go through chemotherapy, stem cell transplants, and I'm happy to say that I've been in remission for about 10 years.
Beautiful story, but it gets better from that point on. Now, talk to me about the experimental drug that allowed you to receive this allogeneic stem cell transplant using your brother Lee as the stem cell donor, essentially.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I just want to back up a little bit because when I was 14 years old, cancer came into my home and it took my father away from me. And so my only connection to cancer growing up was through my dad. And to me, cancer equaled death. And so now that I just turned 48 years old and my father passed away when he was 48 years old, I realized how young he really was. And so in 1989, cancer research, cancer technology, it just wasn't there yet. And, science wasn't able to save my dad in 1989, but science was able to save me. And so I'm a huge proponent of obviously cancer research and everything that everyone can do around raising funds, raising awareness to invest in cancer research. So for me, like I said, I had been through multiple rounds of chemotherapy, radiation, and an autologous stem cell transplant, which was great. Like they got the disease into remission. Everyone was happy. I went on to living my life in a pretty normal way, I guess you can say. And then
And your brother Lee is very active in your life, I'm assuming?
yeah, my brother Lee, you know, I'm the youngest of the three boys. I'm the baby. I got two older brothers, and Lee's the middle son. He's a chiropractor, soccer player as well. And so when I relapsed after my cancer, you know, that's when things got a little bit scary because I was running out of options. I was scared, pissed off, afraid. I didn't want to die. And lucky for me, at that exact moment in time, just when I needed it the most, this new smart targeted therapy emerged on the market and was available for a select group of people in my exact situation. And so this drug got my disease into remission. So I was able to go on to get this second stem cell transplant using Lee as the donor.
That is so beautiful,
Yeah.
and I've gotten chills twice throughout this interview, like literally chills radiating down my body every time you have given me these markers in your life, this divine intervention that we call destiny or fate or however you want it, that still has kept you here today. So, wow, this is incredible. Now, talk to me about how you managed to run the 2010 New York City Marathon 9 months after your first transplant. And then you ran in 2012 the NYC Marathon while undergoing chemotherapy. And then again, you ran the 2013 Boston Marathon 11 months after your second transplant, notably the same year as the bombings.
Yeah.
Wow. That is some level of perseverance, my friend.
Thank you. Well, you know, fitness has always been a huge part of my life. And I truly believe that, you know, leading a healthy lifestyle, being physically fit, eating well, sleeping, all that stuff is just great for general health. You know, but I was a former professional soccer player. I was healthy my whole life and I still got cancer. And so when I was diagnosed, I was literally in the middle of training for the New York City Marathon, but obviously I had to postpone it because of the diagnosis. So every day I'd be walking into Memorial Sloan Kettering Hospital, which is in New York City, which overlooks First Avenue, where the marathon runs every year. And I'm like, if I survive this, I'm going to run this marathon. I'm going to run up First Avenue and I'm not going to have to go in for a freaking doctor's appointment, you know? So I got the diagnosis. I got better. I ran the marathon. And then, like I said, I relapsed. And this new therapy, this new drug, was so successful in my life that I was able to run the New York City Marathon again while undergoing chemotherapy. Traditional chemotherapy, it kills like the good and the bad cells. So you lose your hair, you feel miserable, you're nauseous, all that stuff you read about when learning someone's going through cancer. But with this new smart targeted therapy called Etcetris, game changer. I mean, I could look in
Yeah.
the mirror and see myself looking back, and the side effects weren't as bad as traditional chemo. So I was able to manage running a marathon while going through this.
Well, there you have it, and that's why, like you said, echoing your sentiment about how important it truly is to participate, invest, fund, donate to cancer research, because essentially it does save lives. Now, you often hear cancer described as a battle where you have to fight to survive, but since the fight is never fair, one would ask exactly how does an individual survive cancer? You obviously have many secrets up your sleeve, not just perseverance and a clean diet. What is the first? What's the most important piece of advice you could give to somebody that is currently undergoing cancer treatment and radiation?
Well, I firmly believe that acceptance is a really important step in getting a diagnosis, any diagnosis, whether it's cancer or COVID or HIV. Because once you accept what's going on inside your body, then you can move on to the next phase of the process, which is how do you want to map out how you want to live the rest of your life. So there are a lot of people out there that just like, why me? Like, why this is happening to me? And you just, living in this denial phase doesn't enable you to take the proper steps to live a healthy lifestyle and plan your life. So for me, it was acceptance. The other part of that is community, like surround yourself with family and friends. And I truly believe that like nothing is more empowering than the truth. Often the thoughts, the feelings, fear, heaviness, anxiety, happiness, laughter that a cancer patient is going through is the same as a caregiver. However, if you're not talking about it and you're not honest and authentic about this experience with the ones taking care of you, it's a really difficult journey for both parties. And so
Yes.
being honest and truthful about how you're feeling with those around you, I think is a really successful path for when you get a horrible diagnosis.
Yes, that's the truth, my friend. And also, I would have to say, learn all you can about your cancer and use the
Mm,
resources available, because studies have found that taking the time to educate yourself about your cancer not only helps you feel more empowered and in control of your treatment, but may make a difference in your outcome as well. Exercise, eating well, managing other medical conditions at the same time. Most of us have heard about a good diet and exercising enough that we've almost become immune to discussing the impact of this. But a good diet and exercise not only help reduce the risk of getting cancer, but appear to improve survival in those who have been diagnosed. And
yeah,
I know for myself, eating clean, eating healthy, avoiding processed foods, going green, making sure that you're not, tapping into that processed high fructose corn syrup craze. All of that makes a big difference, right? Would you not agree? That's
I totally
critical.
agree. Yeah. And you mentioned the word control, which is really interesting. Like getting a diagnosis like cancer is a really uncontrollable feeling. There's something going on inside your body that you really don't know what to do about it. And when a doctor tells you to do something, you die, you pretty much do it. It's easy. There's no choice. It's not hard to necessarily go through cancer. But for me, it was, how do I gain control back over my life? And that exactly what you said. It's eating well, it's sleeping well, it's exercising, it's some alternative therapies like meditation, visualization boards, Reiki, chiropractor. All these are ways to gain some control over your own health while going through this horrible situation. And so I think that's a really important point that you made.
Yeah, absolutely. Listen, I'd love to have you come back on talking about more positive stuff. You are quite the motivational speaker, my friend. You're quite the example. And I thank you for coming on and chatting with us today.
Thank you so much for having me.
Guys, you definitely have to check out Ethan Zohn. Go to his website, ezohn.com, or check him out on the gram at Ethan Zohn. That was one of the highlights of my week, chatting with my dear friend again. You're listening to A Moment of Zen right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York. We'll be right back after this. This segment was brought to us by Aikido Pharma.